Guys, let's get right into the numbers because the newest jobs report just came out a couple of days ago and it shocked a lot of people. Stay tuned in this video because I'm going to give you exactly what you should be doing right now to prepare for what I think is coming. Okay, now based on the latest jobs report, the U.S. economy actually lost about 92,000 jobs in February when all the experts were expecting job gains. Because think about it. Last month, we gained a bunch of new jobs. So that's like the total opposite just 1 month later. Now, with this latest jobs report that we just got on Friday, the unemployment rate also rose to 4.4%, which is up from 4.3% the previous month. And here's something else to think about, okay? Private payrolls went down, which basically means that businesses are starting to slow down their hiring. Several sectors showed weakness as well, including the manufacturing jobs, construction jobs, and even parts of healthcare jobs are showing a slowdown, right? Now, this matters because for the past several years, guys, the labor market has been the strongest part of the U.S. economy on the surface, right? If people have jobs, people typically spend money. And if people spend money, businesses grow. But when this hiring slows down, economists and investors start watching things more closely. And to be super clear, guys, what makes this latest job report so just flat out strange, okay, is just 30 days ago, the economy added roughly 130,000 jobs. Who is being truthful and who isn't? Can we rely on these jobs reports or not? This is why I say something strange is happening with these jobs reports, because it flipped in just 1 month. My question is, what's really going on here? Are we adding jobs or are we losing a bunch of jobs? So in my opinion, what we're really seeing right now is we're seeing a labor market that's looking halfway decent on the surface, but it's got some problems underneath the surface. It's really slowing down. But let's spend a minute talking about what this unemployment rate does not include. So we're all clear, all on the same page, because that unemployment percentage number can be misleading, right? Now, when you hear that the unemployment rate is 4.4%, that sounds pretty good, relatively low, right? But there's something important people need to understand about that unemployment rate number, because the unemployment rate does not include several groups of people who may still be out there struggling, trying to find a job. For example, if somebody loses a job and they stop actively applying for work, they're not counted as unemployed. That means if someone gets discouraged and they just stop looking for work, they actually disappear from the unemployment statistics. Now, another group that's not fully reflected in that 4.4% unemployment rate number is underemployed workers. Think about it like this. These are the people working jobs that are far below their actual skill set or their degree. If you know somebody who fits that category, drop it in the comments below. For example, these are your engineers who's working retail down there at Target. Or if you have a professional who's working part-time somewhere to make ends meet, just to have some steady income. Or somebody who's taking temporary work while trying to find something better and permanent. Technically, all of those people are counted as employed, but economically, they're not where they should be or where they want to be, right? There's also millions of Americans who are simply working part-time because they can't find full-time work. And guess what? In these statistics, those people are counted as employed, even though their income and their job level is just part-time. And in today's economy, there's also, don't forget about these people who have a side hustle or a side gig or 2 or 3. Somebody driving an Uber or doing DoorDash or doing some freelance work or picking up some temporary work all those people can technically be classified as employed, even though their income is not stable and it's not predictable, right? So when you hear 4.4% unemployment, understand something important. That number does not mean only 4.4% of Americans are struggling or jobless. No, it means 4.4% of Americans who are actively looking for work do not currently have a job. And that distinction matters. Now, here's the deal. How should us regular folks respond, right? That's the question. How should regular people respond to the fact that America lost about 92,000 jobs in the month of February? And this is super important. The first thing is this: don't panic. okay? Because the numbers are going to be all over the place, apparently. They're going to be way up one month and way down the next month. But our answer to all of that is simply preparation for us. And then second, you got to keep your resume updated. You should always have a current resume ready. And let me give you this piece of advice. Your resume includes or can include your social media footprint. So if you're on Facebook or IG or Twitter doing and saying crazy stuff, remember that can become a part of your resume too, because employers may be looking at all that when they're trying to determine whether or not to bring you into their work culture or not. So your social media footprint becomes a part of your resume. And look, you never want to get to the point where you're scrambling to update your career information or to swipe out stuff that you put on the internet, right? If something unexpected happens with your current job. So you want to be ready. Third thing is this: periodically test the job market. Even if you like your current job, apply for a few positions from time to time. Go through that interview process occasionally, right? This is going to keep your interviewing skills nice and sharp, and it's going to give you a realistic sense of what your market value is in terms of your skills, right? The value of your skill set. Fourth thing is this: continue to build your side income streams. This is exactly why I talk so much about additional income on this channel. When the labor market weakens, like we're seeing, people with multiple income streams tend to be the most resilient. Right? Doesn't matter if you're doing consulting, freelancing, creating and selling digital products, you got a small business, you content creation, or whatever your legitimate other stream of income is. Now, the fifth thing is this: keep your spending intentional. This is not the time to allow lifestyle creep to get out of control. The more disciplined your spending is, the more financial flexibility you maintain. Now, another thing is this: continue strengthening your safety net right now. Your emergency fund matters. When we're talking about the possibility of unemployment increasing, you don't want to get caught with no cash. So you got to have a safety net, 3 to 6 months or more of your expenses available, right? That can dramatically reduce your stress. And finally, let me say this for my investors out there. When you're looking at the economy right now and you're looking at this flip-flop in the job numbers and we don't know what number's right and what number's wrong, this is where discipline matters if you're an investor. Don't get caught up in the headlines. Continue to invest. Continue to dollar cost average. Continue to do what you've been doing based on your plan. This is why you got to have a plan. And you continue to follow your plan. Continue to do whatever your investing philosophy is, whatever your criteria is for buying index funds or ETFs or stocks, right? Never invest based purely, strictly on the headlines. Don't get me wrong, you got to be flexible, but the headlines are going to change every day. It doesn't mean your investing plan has to change every day. A disciplined investing system is what you need. Don't change it daily. Now, let me mention this because this is important. It's coming up. Many people are asking or they're wondering, what is the Federal Reserve going to do next? The FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, which is the arm of the Fed that decides what to do with the Fed funds rate when they meet 8 times a year, they're going to meet again on March 17th. And this jobs report that we just got puts them in sort of an interesting position. See, on one hand, if the labor market is weakening, the Fed might consider to lower interest rates. Why? Because they want to stimulate the spending and the economic activity. So they lower the interest rates because lower interest rates make borrowing cheaper. And ultimately, cheaper borrowing can help housing activity. It can encourage businesses to invest more, and it could encourage businesses to hire more people. But there's also a risk. If the Fed lowers the rates too soon, higher inflation could return. Why? Because when the Fed lowers the interest rates and makes money cheaper to borrow, people tend to spend more money. And guess what? When people spend more money, demand for things go up. And what do we know about Economics 101? When demand goes up, prices go up faster. We get higher inflation. So remember, the Fed lowering the Fed funds rate and making money cheaper to borrow is sort of an inflationary measure if they're not careful, because it incentivizes people to spend, demand go up, prices go up. So if the Feds do this, now the Feds could do this, and a lot of people are thinking this, the Fed could keep rates right where they are. And that could keep inflation under control, but it also keeps interest rates a little higher for longer. And when interest rates are higher for longer, it can kind of slow down any economic growth that we see. So the Federal Reserve, they're balancing competing risk right now. Okay, we got a weakening labor market and we got persistent inflation that won't go down to their 2% target. And because of that, many of the experts are sort of believing that the Fed may take a wait and see approach and just not do anything, not lower the Fed funds rate at all coming up here in 10 days or so. So we'll see. Now, there's also one additional factor that I gotta mention to you guys to pay attention to, right? You gotta keep your eyes on this, and that's oil prices. Oil prices have moved higher, if you haven't already heard, right? That's following what's happening over in Iran in terms of the strikes, and Israel and America striking Iran, Iran striking some other folks in the Middle East. So higher oil prices matter. Why? Because energy costs affect our entire economy. Think about it like this. Energy affects transportation cost. Energy affects the cost of shipping, either by airplane, by boat, you name it. Also, energy affects production cost because it costs energy to produce stuff. And speaking of stuff, energy affects the cost of food, right? Because it costs energy to turn raw stuff into food that is used for other things and food that we go to the grocery store to pick up and buy, right? It takes energy to create it and energy to move it to the local grocery store. And so higher oil prices contribute ultimately to higher prices, right? So this stuff is all tied together. But again, while that situation is important, the main story for us here at home is the labor market, right? Jobs and hiring. Now, for us, the most important thing we got to remember in times like this is this. Economic cycles are normal, okay? The economy can expand and then the economy will retract or slow down, and it repeats that pattern over time. So the key for us is not to try to perfectly predict every economic cycle. The key for us is building financial resilience in our own four walls with our own economy. You want to stay employed if you can. You want to continue to build your valuable skills. You want to strengthen your savings. You want to keep all of your spending intentional, not emotional, and continue investing with discipline, being consistent. Don't be out here trying to time the market, because the people who tend to do the best financially over long periods of time, those are the people who maintain consistent systems, not just emotional reactions. Our job is to stay informed, but don't panic. Look, the goal here with this video is to give you this information in plain language so it's easy to understand. It's not to scare you, but it's simply to keep you informed so you can make good decisions about your own personal finances. If you got value from this video, do me a favor, drop me a comment below and let me know you got value. You can just put in the comments, I got value. As always, the best person to take care of the old you is the young you. Until the next video, peace.